Actually, for this one, because it's so close to the chain gear, I'm going to knock it out on the vise. And another reason is that I've now got that wheel off so that I've got clearance here to make it onto the vise jaws without too much of a problem and in the right place. And to protect the axle, I'm going to knock it out with my copper-headed Thor hammer. There we go. That wasn't too bad, was it? You can see the old Loctite there. You can also see again the key here. I don't need to take this off. What I'll do is I'll just clean this up, and I'll be ready for the other wheel once I've cut the keyway into it. Here's the axle in the lathe. I'm just going to clean this up a little bit, get the old Loctite off it, the little residue that's left on there. Make sure the shoulder's nice and sharp here, and do the same on the other side before I fit the wheel. But you can see it's running pretty good, but the chain gear wheel, it's got a little bit of a wobble on it. That was the way it was made. It seems that the chain's able to take up that kind of slack and not cause excessive wear, so I'm not going to sweat that too much. It has in fact been splat welded onto this collar. I don't know why they didn't get it straight when they made that piece of it, but they weren't that worried about it. So, but the wheels, I did find that the wheels, the older wheels, were actually slightly out. The centers to the tires were slightly out, but my new ones are dead straight. There's no wobble in them, they're concentric. When I originally re-gauged this locomotive, I put a center drill in this axle, which I'm now cleaning out, making sure there's no muck in there, and that's to support this end with a dead center. And I just put a little bit of grease on here. I don't have a live center, so I do it with this. Put a bit of grease on there, take it up, fasten the tailstock into position, nice and tight. Not too tight so it's going to overheat. Now that's going to run supported at that end so I can machine it. Taking a very light cut. Now, I've been talking about these wheels having keys in them. Now that's called a keyway, and it's a slot cut into the metal axle. And the key is just a small piece of 1/8 square mild steel bar. And that lies in there, halfway in to this slot here, like that. And then the wheel, and you can see it at this end, has a similar slot in it, there. So half of that 1/8 piece of steel bar is set into the axle, and the other half sets into the wheel. And that keys the two pieces together so that when the axle turns, there's less likelihood of this wheel slipping on the axle and losing grip. It's a good solid way of making a joint there between an axle, which is probably, you know, putting out 3 horsepower, and a wheel on the rail when you're pulling a load of about 700 pounds. Now it's easy enough with an end mill or a woodruff cutter, which is like a little saw which cuts into metal, cutting out this slot here in the wheel. It's a little bit more difficult cutting the slot in the wheel because it's inside a diameter. Now there's a special tool for cutting these slots for the keys. I haven't got one. In the next episode, I'll show you how I did it in the lathe.